Have I mentioned how busy SummerSlam weekend is going to be for me? What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Past Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and I'm here just to have some fun. SummerSlam weekend is coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks here in Toronto. I'm going, but there's a lot going on this particular weekend. Those of you that know this channel from a while ago know I used to do a Road to WrestleMania series called Road Signs. This is not that. This is just me being a little indulgent, talking about a whole handful of shows that I'm going to, that I'm really excited about. Most of them are WWE, so most of them are stuff that you guys are going to see as well. I mean, Destiny, we're going to talk about that first. We'll get that out of the way. But, yeah, I hope you'll indulge me. If you don't care, then that's fine too. I don't really talk about the main roster stuff very much, but again, it's the whole, like, I'm going to be there thing. So what you guys are witnessing really here is me just selfishly getting really hyped for shows that I'm actually going to be at. Now, for those of you that are in the Toronto area, or going to be in the Toronto area this particular weekend, I am going to TakeOver Toronto, I am going to SummerSlam, I am going to Raw, I am going to SmackDown. Anybody going to any of those shows that wants to come and say hi, come and say hello, shake my hand, tell me I suck, whatever, please, 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 for the love of God, feel free to do so. I know that when I see people that I know, but they don't know me, you don't really want to, you don't want to come off as somebody that's bugging. You're not going to bug me. I've done something right if I go to a wrestling show and somebody ever comes up to me and says, hey man, I recognize you from YouTube. I don't see that ever happening, because I have my little corner over here. I have had a couple of people at the local Destiny shows that I've been to look me up on like IG or Twitter or whatever and say, hey, I think I was sitting next to you in the bleachers, that kind of thing. That is cool enough. But any of you, especially anybody that's coming from out of town, coming up from the States, coming across from the other provinces or whatever, if you know who the hell I am, I'm not going to be hard to find. I'm not, like I say, I'm not a huge deal. I'm not going to set up a meet and greet at a bar and feed my ego that way. But if you see me in passing, whatever, and you want to say hello, please, please, please feel free to do so. Unless I'm on my way to the shitter, I'll probably end up talking your ear off for 5 minutes. But yeah, as I say, there's SummerSlam, TakeOver, Raw, SmackDown. I'm going to be at all of those. I mean, if you include the NXT episode taping and the 205 live taping and the Destiny show, that's about 7 shows in 5 days, which is really, really good. Destiny Icons, too. I think there's still tickets available. People that are interested, people that haven't heard me talk enough about Destiny, look them up. It's just at Destiny Wrestle on Twitter, and it's just Destiny Wrestling on Facebook, and you'll find your tickets. So they're a lot of fun. I didn't know whether I was going to talk about them or not, because when they announced Icons 2 is happening on the Friday, by the way. It was happening at the Annapolis Hall. It's been moved back to the Don Kolov Arena, which is fine. It's kind of their home base anyway. I kind of imagine it would be like any ECW show at the ECW arena. It's just their home. I mean, like NXT has Full Sail, etc. It's just, I would have been happy for them to go back to the Annapolis Hall, because Icons last year there was great. But being back at the Don Kolov, it's a home base thing. I'm going to be a bit repetitive now, but it is what it is. What we have there so far, and sorry, before I go on, I didn't know whether I was going to talk about this, because initially I was told that this was not a pay-per-view, a show of theirs that was going to be televised, but then they announced their TV deal with Fight Network that's coming up in the fall, and they announced that the tapings from this show are going to be towards that. Now, I don't know how entirely that works out. I don't know whether this entire show is going to be one episode of that, or whether it's going to be broken down and this is going to be a taping that takes up like 3 shows. I don't know. If I find out that information, I'm definitely going to pass that on to you guys, because when they do go to the Fight Network, I am going to be pushing you guys to go and check them out, because I think they deserve it. Now, the first match that we're aware of so far is the Next Generation Championship, a championship that was not established up here in Canada. I think it was down in New York that they established the first Destiny Wrestling Next Generation Championship. I think it was, I'm going to get this wrong, I think they did a collaborative show with House of Glory, I might be wrong, and I mean, we all know who does commentary for House of Glory, so I'm not going to talk too much about them. But their initial champion is a guy named Trey Miguel. A guy named Trey Miguel that I don't know anything about. But he's defending for the first time up here. I think they're casting it as the championship's debut up here in Mississauga against Lionel Knight. I'm going to get these names wrong, I apologize. Lionel Knight, Kevin Blackwood, Ryan Wright, and Aiden Prince. Now, the ones that I know out of that list are Ryan Wright, because we have the same surname, and that's awesome. But also Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince is charismatic as fuck and is the guy I'm pulling for in this match. He's just really good, really high-flying, smaller guy, impressive. You know, it's a wrestling cliche, but like impressive for his size. If you want a WWE comparison, look at any match that has Tyler Bate in it. Tyler Bate's usually the smallest guy in the match, and then he pulls off the most awesome power move in the match just because you don't expect it. And there's a whole lot of stuff about Aiden Prince that you guys should check out. I don't know where to tell you to go to check him out other than go to the Fight Network. Go to the Fight TV app. I think one of the Carnage shows is on there, and Ritual, the pay-per-view that they did with Blackcraft Wrestling, is there as well. And I think he was in a tag team match against the Christ brothers, if I remember correctly. My memory is shit, you guys know this. And I'm sort of doing this off, no pun intended to the other series that I do here, but I'm kind of doing this off the cuff. I've just got listings here. This is sort of a, hey, what we know so far type deal. So yeah, I'm pulling for Aiden Prince in that 5-way match. It should be really, really good. Joey Ryan is announced, and that's really all we know. I've never seen Joey Ryan live. I've seen Joey Ryan with some other things. When Candice LeRae came to NXT, somebody sent me her last match, and it was a match that she was a partner with Joey Ryan in, and he gave her a really respectful goodbye from the indie scene and all that sort of thing, and that was really good. But I don't, maybe it's like the Kenny Omega thing. I don't have anything against the guy, but I don't get it, and I'm not going to get excited about him flipping people with his cock. That's just me. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be really, really entertaining. They haven't said who he's fighting yet. I really, really hope it's Stone Rockwell, because as a comedy match, I think that could work really, really well. I don't know what the match is, so I can't tell you much more than that. Tenille Dashwood, the WWE's former Emma, is going to be there as well. And once again, me making predictions that fall completely on their face. I was really, really, really hoping that when they said Emma was coming to a Destiny event, that her opponent was going to be Shotzi Blackheart. I love Shotzi Blackheart. If I haven't mentioned that enough already, I think she's an absolute badass. I've had the chance to briefly meet her twice, which was great, and as I say, she's an absolute sweetheart. If you haven't seen her in anything else, go back and watch the Evolve 10th anniversary show that was on the WWE network that everybody was all upset about because it was going up against the Fight for the Fallen. There we go. That's what happens when you give 2 or 3 pay-per-views in a row a very similar name. But if you go check out that Evolve show, I can't remember who she was facing, but she did that suicide dive into the 4 chairs and ate shit super hard and just kept going. She's a badass. She's not who's facing Emma. Emma is facing a girl by the name of Silesia Sparks. Now, I've seen Silesia Sparks all of once, and when I saw her at a Destiny show, she was facing Shotzi Blackheart. So who do you think I was cheering for? But the match was good. She was good. I happen to be wearing a Shotzi t-shirt at that show, to the point where people have seen this right now. It's basically, there's a picture of me and Silesia Sparks, and she's giving me a really, really dirty look in the picture. And this was after she legit cut a promo on me in the merch area at the Destiny show, which was probably one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me, because I'm a mark. But yeah, Silesia Sparks versus Tenille Dashwood should be good. I do still hope that Shotzi Blackheart is there in some capacity. I mean, at names are escaping me today. At the Ritual, we were originally supposed to see Shotzi Blackheart taking on Paige's mom, and that didn't end up happening because of reasons. But I really, I want to do something. Give them a second women's match against, I don't know, put her up against Casey Spinelli or something like that. If anybody's watching me from Destiny, I would really like to see that. Channing Decker, my boy, is in a cage match, I believe, against Ricky Shane Page, who's apparently a hardcore guy I don't know much about. Channing Decker's a badass. Channing Decker is, I've said it before, I think Channing Decker is what The Miz or MJF would have been if they had been created in actual real-life ECW. The dude is crazy. I've seen him go through doors. I've seen him get tattoo needles put in his friggin' face by G-Raver. It's a bunch of cool shit, and a lot like Shotzi Blackheart. I've had a chance to meet him once or twice, and he's a really, really cool dude. But he also has their version of the Money in the Bank briefcase, which means he has a title shot coming up sooner or later, you know, tight air quotes intended. With that, I don't think he'll lose. I don't know, like I say, I don't know much about the guy that he's facing, Ricochet and Page. Sure, it'll be great. I've never seen a cage match at Destiny. There was one cage match at Destiny, the one that Josh Alexander won to become the #1 contender for their championship, and I missed that. Unfortunately, I had to sell my ticket to that because I had to go to a stag party. So, I mean, I don't regret it because the party was great and I got shit-faced off my ass. But I did miss that cage match, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what a cage match at Destiny Wrestling is going to look like. And that brings us to our current Destiny World Champion, Mr. Canadian Strong Style himself, Josh Alexander, the Walking Weapon, who has put out an open challenge. So I don't know who he's facing either. Now, I'm really happy about this, exposure-wise, because I've been talking, again, since I've been going to Destiny, I've been talking about, basically, Shotzi Blackheart, Channing Decker, why are names escaping me? Stone Rockwell and Josh Alexander are the ones that I've latched onto from Destiny. I went to Destiny, you guys know the story. I went to Destiny because I wanted to see Pete Dunne face John Morrison. That was fine. I saw Pete Dunne face Austin Aries. That was fine. I saw Pete Dunne facing, what's his name? James Ellsworth, which was a riot. Josh Alexander take on Simon Grimm. I've seen John Morrison come back, PJ Black come back. All these people that I know come back. Badass Billy Gunn, missed out on seeing Gangrel, etc. But in the process, you latch on to the home base people, and nothing is more true about that than Josh Alexander. If you've seen any of the videos that I've ever seen, the way that the Destiny fans have sort of adopted this guy and made them their guy, made him their guy, and the way they basically swarm the ring after the matches, sometimes before the matches, with the streamers and the whole bit, and it's not a big crowd, but it's a loud crowd when Josh Alexander is out there. I really don't know who they've got to face him. I'm sure it'll be announced eventually, but in my mind, the booker part of my brain, we all do the fantasy booking here on the internet. Whoever he's facing, in a certain way, it doesn't matter, because what I really want to see is Channing Decker cash in on Josh Alexander, and I want to see that match. So I don't want to overlook who they're gonna make his opponent be. Because as soon as I say, oh, his opponent doesn't really matter, they're going to make some ballistic announcement like, oh, it's Josh Alexander versus CM Punk, or something like. It's not going to be CM Punk, let's be real, because he's over in Phil Brooks land. But what I will say is there is a secondary thought going into this match. And the main event, speaking of, big names from other promotions that are going to draw, hopefully, a lot of attention, we got OVE versus SCU, which is great. And it's really, really funny to me because they, even in some of the marketing, even in some of the social media posts about this, they're branding it as Impact stars versus AEW stars, which is funny because to me, OVE stars are Destiny stars, because that's where I've seen them. I've seen the Chris brothers fight in tag teams. I've seen, what's his name? Oh, Callahan, in other situations. I think he was tag teamed up with Josh Alexander, if I'm not mistaken. And to call the SCU guys AEW guys, 2 out of 3 of them I know from Impact. So the marketing does make sense, and the way it's being presented does make sense as what you see it right now. But OVE, I've actually more familiarity with from seeing them at Destiny, and 2/3 of SCU I know from Impact and Scorpio Sky. I'm just getting to know right now. What can you say other than 3 of them are going to come out and be assholes, and 3 of them are going to come out and be charismatic assholes, and we're going to have a 6-man brawl, and it's going to be really, really, really good. I don't have anything else to say other than it's going to be really, 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 really good. As I say, when I get more information about how this is going to be broken down as far as being televised, I will let you guys know eventually. It's kind of a bummer to me in a way that it's not being done as a pay-per-view, because anything I put up after the fact is going to be a spoiler for anybody that decides to watch it on television, but I am happy for Destiny. They've got this awesome TV deal, and I can't wait to see how that shakes out. Moving on to Saturday, NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. It's neat because we got Destiny Icons 2, and we got TakeOver Toronto 2, and we got SummerSlam. Two matches we got so far. One is the one that I've been sitting on for a while because somebody sent me the spoiler a hell of a long time ago, but it's Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim for the Women's Championship. I love this. I was really getting sick of Bianca Belair. I'm not going to get into it a whole lot. You guys know what I have to say about Bianca Belair. Amazing athlete. I hate her gimmick. Everything about her gimmick screams, look at me, I'm a stereotype. The hair thing is stupid. I wish they would fix her so I could get behind her in a title match. But right now, I'm just not. And Mia Yim is the modern day Urban Lita. And you guys know how I feel about Lita. No, seriously, Mia Yim is a badass. They did the video package on her past and all that sort of thing. And NXT, I will say, can be a little bit heavy-handed on that sort of thing. I think they did it a little too much. They did it for Roderick Strong way back, and it felt a little desperate because at that time I didn't care. Like, okay, obviously Roderick Strong is how he is now, but at the time when he was pure Snow White babyface Roderick Strong, I didn't really care. So just telling me a bunch about his sad life and his family and whatever seemed really cheap. But they've gotten better at it, if still being very heavy-handed with it. Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim. As I say, Mia Yim's a badass. We saw the reaction she got. She got the female version of the Cedric Alexander reaction in the Cruiserweight Classic when she competed in the Mae Young Classic. And when she found out that she was getting signed to NXT, and they filmed that reaction video with her, and they filmed the reaction video of her, and they filmed her getting the news that she was going to be signed, and that was more endearing. That was a more endearing real thing than a storyline video package. And I know she was Jade in TNA, and I didn't see much of that. And I literally saw, because I'm a nerd and I follow wrestlers on Instagram, somebody messaged, or somebody put a comment on one of her things. It's like, I really liked you more in Destiny when you were Jade. And she was very respectful to this particular fan and said, you know, hey, I have nothing against Impact. I had a lot of fun there. The gimmick just wasn't for me, type thing. And I'm just like, well, you're a badass, so if this is the real you, and if this is the real her, rather, then good for her. And she's made me want her to win. And she hasn't been really shoved down our throats. She's been dominating the mid-card rather than saying constantly, I need to be in the main event. I deserve to be in the main event. I'm going to be the champion. I'm going to be the champion. I'm going to be the champion, and I'm going to face the champion 100 times. Leave it on the back burner. You know, have her dominate the mid card and have the fans say, "Hey, wouldn't she be a good champion?" Rather than just pushing it, which is what the main roster does a lot of the time, doesn't it? And what they're doing with her right now, this week on NXT, they had her taking out I'm going to mess up her name, but Marina Shafir in the parking lot of a house show. It's smart and it's preemptive, and it's like, you know what, I'm not going to let myself become a victim. I'm going to take out all the elements that could victimize me before I'm even in the situation where I need to worry about it, which is great. Can't wait. You guys know the turnaround I've done on Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler I didn't like when she first came in. I'm like, she's a bit generic, a bit, I'm just going to be a bully, but like, she really grew into that role, and I didn't want her to lose the title. Didn't want her to lose the title, especially to Bianca Belair, because Bianca Belair annoys the crap out of me. I wouldn't mind her losing here. I really wouldn't. I don't know what else to say about that match for now. They're probably going to do 3 more weeks of awesome build, and it's going to be good. Then what we got was what I didn't cover in my NXT review this week because I didn't see the video until after NXT, but we had the big schmoz between Gargano and Adam Cole, and William Regal came onto WWE.com, gave them an exclusive, and said, hey, I'm going to give these guys one more match. I'm going to put a caveat on it. It's going to be a 3 stages of hell match. Each one of them gets to pick a particular stipulation, and I will pick the third if it goes to a third fall, which it will. Let's be real. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. This is cool in a way, and it could be potentially picked apart in a way, because you look at it, you look at Cole Gargano, and the first thing that springs to mind is these guys don't need a gimmick match. Second thing that springs to mind is a 3 stages of hell match isn't 3 stages if it doesn't go to the third fall. The last thing you think of is with the new advertising break thing that Raw and SmackDown are doing, they've absolutely killed the 2 out of 3 falls, the prestige or the interest in that sort of thing, because they're doing it every week. Here's a 6-man tag that's 2 out of 3 falls. Here's a tag match that's 2 out of 3 falls. Here's a handicap match that's 2 out of 3 falls, and here's an elimination match that's 2 out of 3 eliminations, and they're just driving it into the ground. The other problem I have is you don't know what the gimmicks are, what the words. You don't know what the individual stipulations of the individual falls are going to be, and that's sort of, they're telling you half the story. I think what was the original 3 Stages of Hell match was a regular match, a hardcore match, and if necessary, a Hell in a Cell. That's a natural progression. I think the only way you could do that without it being an entire giveaway, because the Hell in a Cell is obviously a huge structure, that I think the way they should do it is 1 pin, 1 submission, and then the third fall being no holds barred. Because they don't need to literally stop the match and change the makeup of the building for that to happen. But going in, you know that William Regal has given these guys this opportunity to pick their own stipulation. But the fact is that you know that it's going to go to a third fall, because, like I say, 2 out of 3 fall matches, that's what they do. Cole picks 1 stipulation, Gargano picks the second stipulation, and Regal himself picks the third stipulation. So while he's saying, I'll let you guys pick your own battle, it's ultimately going to be whatever William Regal decides this match. And that's not necessarily a downfall. It's really not, but it takes away the, oh, I'm going to let you choose for a bit, and then I'm going to choose the ending. It's very strange. Don't let that take away from the fact that Cole and Gargano are fucking awesome. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see them in Toronto. I can't wait to, do little, idiot dance moves to Gargano's music. I can't wait for Cole to get out there and do the baby thing and do all the Fanny Marky shit that you do. I will say, check out Joe Cronin's SmackDown review, or his Out of Nowhere, where he talked about being at SmackDown and how, the show absolutely sucked, but when you're there, you got to kind of be a retard and amp everybody up and, scare people a little bit. I thought he had a great take on that. So anybody out there that wants to go watch the Joe Cronin show, tell them, hey, Spaz sent you. Hey, that'll be good. No, they're good guys over there. Joe Cronin, Jake DeMarco, and Spaz Phoenix's own buddy Okayfabe over there for the Out of Nowhere. They're a bunch of good guys, and if you're not checking out their content, you should check it out anyway, not just because I'm telling you to. SummerSlam, so far, unless something's been announced the very last minute, we've got 3 matches set for SummerSlam so far. We've got Ember Moon versus Bayley, which is really, really good for a lot of reasons. And yes, I'm going there for a second. I didn't want to sit through a Sasha Banks match at SummerSlam. I really didn't. I was really just, you guys saw me on Facebook and Twitter and on IG and everything. I was like, if Sasha Banks is the match for Bayley at SummerSlam, that's my piss break. I really don't care. I really actively resent the pull for Sasha Banks to come back to WWE right now. For a Big 4 pay-per-view, sure, let's keep everybody else off the card and bring back the one most toxic person probably in their entire locker room to reward her on a big stage. It's like, yeah, well, we asked you to do this, and then you did it, and then you had a temper tantrum, so we're going to reward you with a belt that went to your friend who didn't do any of those things out of appreciation. Fucking... No, man. I was worried at Extreme Rules with the handicap match that Sasha Banks was going to come out and even the odds, and she was going to get this big hero's reception, and it was going to be very, very retarded. Or that when they interviewed Bayley on SmackDown, that she's like, well, there's only one person I know that could deserve a title shot like this, and it's somebody that I really respect, god darn it. And she brings her friend back, and that would have been really, really stupid too, because she doesn't deserve it. She's a brat. I'm sorry, go to the annotation up here. You're going to see a playlist for my Off the Cuff series, and there is a video where I explain in great detail, in great statistics, in great numbers, why Sasha Banks is an absolute spoiled brat that doesn't deserve anybody's adulation and definitely doesn't deserve a comeback. Definitely does not deserve a comeback in my hometown, where it's going to take up valuable TV time from people that have actually been there. Anyways, Bayley versus Ember Moon came about because they were tag team partners, and they chased off Fire and Desire, which kind of sucks because I think they're being underutilized as well. And then Bayley basically offered Ember Moon title shot right there. And everybody's like, well, that sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it? I'm like, well, yeah, but it's actual acknowledgement of somebody that we've all said for a while, hey, she's busting her ass. Why hasn't she had an opportunity yet? Plus, I mean, I would love to... I mean, I don't know how you would do it exactly. You know, we always talk about, like, the RKOs out of nowhere and all that sort of thing, and the curb stomp that turned into an RKO and all that sort of thing. I would love for Bayley to go for a Bayley to belly and have Ember Moon twist into an Eclipse. I think that would be really, really good. Again, they're just starting to get on track with Bayley, giving her a little bit more edge, having her be not so naive and childish and weird. And I think they're on a really good track with her. I don't think her losing the belt at this point will hurt that. I think, if anything, that could drive it forward. Ember Moon getting the title from Bayley is not something I would mind in the slightest either. Ember Moon has been kept on the back burner for a long, and there's a lot of people. It's not just her. You can talk about Sonya Deville. You can talk about, yes, Mandy Rose. You can talk about Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott, even though she's injured right now. I know they're trying to revamp Liv Morgan. Sarah Logan's kind of going to go off on her own and do her own Viking thing. All of these people that are at least decent are all sitting on the back burner because we established who the main eventers were. They were Bayley, Becky, Sasha, unfortunately, Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and that was basically it. They became sort of the 4 horsewomen plus one, and you had all these other ones that were just, you know, slammed and sealed in that mid-card women's division. And really, you don't have a mid-card women's title because the mid-card women's title was being selfishly held by Sasha Banks until recently. Moving on. But if you're going to crack that seal, if Ember Moon can have a title shot, then guess what? Sarah Logan can have a title shot. Ruby Riott can have another title shot, because everybody forgets that she had that banger with Charlotte about 2 years ago that was really, really underrated. This is going to be really, really good. I think seeing the Ember Moon entrance at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto is going to be a lot of fun for me, selfishly. I think they can keep it face versus face. I don't think one of them has to turn. I mean, eventually, as I say, we're moving Bayley into this more edgy, a little bit more bite to her character thing. So if they eventually lean her to the heel side a little bit, I've said put Finn Balor over into the Bullet Club when he comes back, and have Bayley join him as sort of like a crazy fangirl, because we know that they have a mutual respect in real life. That could be a cool thing. But for now, face versus face, first time ever on the main roster for these two, I think, and it's definitely Ember's first title shot, unless I'm forgetting something. So all the elements are there to make that a great match. You know what's not going to be a great match at all? And I hate to say this because WWE's making me say bad things about people I don't really dislike. Natty versus Becky Lynch, I don't care. I really don't. Now, the other rumor was that Sasha Banks was going to return to Raw, and she was going to challenge Becky Lynch, which wasn't something I wanted either, for all the same reasons I just said. I really, really somehow wanted them to get around to Becky Lynch versus Nikki Cross. I really did. But instead, they had a fatal 4-way on Raw, and who were the people? Am I gonna be able to remember who the people were? Probably not. It was Carmella, Naomi, Natalya, and Alexa Bliss. Now, putting aside my feelings on Naomi, because my feelings on Naomi are quite well known at this point, what do you have in there? You've got 4 middlers in that match, and it was a match that I didn't care about, because if you look at it, as I just said, there are the defined main eventers in WWE. As I say, the 4 horsewomen. Alexa Bliss is up there, I guess. Ronda Rousey definitely was. I mean, weirdly, Nia Jax was for a little bit there. But if there's going to be a main event on a pay-per-view, it's going to involve these people. And on the other end of the coin, you've got the people just coming up that I mentioned, the Sarah Logans, the Sonya Devilles, the Mandy Roses, the Liv Morgans, etc., 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 who are people that, for one reason or another, wouldn't it be nice if these people got their shot? You got the people that you really want to get a shot versus the people that are already in that spot. And either one kind of makes sense. The middle doesn't. The middle is just people that are there. They've had titles, nobody gives a fuck about them, etc., etc. And I'm sorry, as much as I like Alexa Bliss, personally, I know she's stuck in that spot right now. Carmella proved that she was better than bullshit when she became the champion. She was good in her role. Naomi is what she is. And Natalya is like I say, she's good enough. Nobody cares about her character, though. She's not a carved in stone main eventer, and she's not new enough that people are going to get their curiosity piqued. So when they had this fatal four-way match, the only person I was interested at all was the one person that was on the outside of the match. That was Nikki Cross. That's what this match should be, in my opinion. It should be Becky Lynch versus Nikki Cross. The other half of this, and this is just a personal note, being from Canada, and we'll just stick a Canadian in the match because they'll love it. It doesn't work. When the big rivalry was Trish Stratus versus Lita, I cheered for Lita. When the big rivalry was Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, I cheered for Shawn Michaels. It's lazy. I don't know if lazy is the word. I don't know if a little bit insulting is the word. But you don't have to give it you don't have to shoehorn in a cookie cutter opponent for this match, for this pay-per-view, just because you're coming up to Canada. You don't. Like, if you did a pay-per-view in Ireland, would Sheamus all of a sudden be the IC champ and Finn all of a sudden be the Universal champ? And I don't know who else. I think Kaylee Ray is Irish. Do we bring her up and put a belt on her? Like, you wouldn't do it. And especially for someone who's definitely not in that spotlight. And as I say, I hate saying this because Natalya is quite capable. She's been there a long time. She's contributed a lot. Anything you read about Natalya says, she's a great person, locker room leader, mentor to the young girls, etc. And I have immense respect for all of that. And she is a fellow Canadian. That doesn't change the fact that nobody cares about this match, which is really, really unfortunate. And the last one is what I'm assuming is going to be the main event, and that is Lesnar versus Rollins. Lesnar versus Rollins comes out of Lesnar cashing in the Money in the Bank after that really, really weird mixed tag main event where the only person to retain their title was Becky Lynch, and she became an afterthought. That was kind of sad. I don't dislike the Rollins-Becky thing as much as most people do. I think it's a lot of fun. I think they're having fun, and that should be the bigger thing at this particular point. But Lesnar, I mean, yeah, who else were you going to have Rollins fight on a Big Four pay-per-view on Raw right now? It is not much. It's not going to be The Fiend just yet, which is also awesome. Fiend is probably going to face Finn Balor and send Finn Balor on his vacation and move his way up, and that's all good. It's all okay, because you could have get a Survivor Series, which is the next Big Four pay-per-view, and what could you possibly have? You're going to have The Fiend from Raw taking on Randy Orton from SmackDown. That's really depressing, isn't it? Lesnar Rollins makes sense. I mean, if we take Rollins and have him just curb stomp him into hell, then that's fine. If we don't, then we're leading into the Fox deal era, and Heyman's gonna push his guy as a champion on Raw, because he's got the creative control and all that, to counter program that lovely word that AEW likes to use so much, to counter program whatever SmackDown has to do to raise itself up to that Fox level. Heyman works the most with Lesnar, so you got to believe in some way, shape, or form he wants his guy to be champion, or you have Rollins come back as the conquering hero. Either way, it kind of makes sense. Now, speaking of counter programming, and I'm only going to say this once, last weekend was a pretty cool weekend for wrestling, because you had Extreme Rules, you had Fight for the Fallen, and then WWE gave you the Evolve show, which was great, and everybody shit a fucking brick because WWE dared to put something on at the same time as an AEW show. And it became this thing. It became this really weird. I mean, yes, we're going to be competitive. Yes, we're all going to have opinions. But it became this really weird, only one of us can claim the weekend type things. I can promise you right now, as much fun as I have at Destiny, as much fun as I have at SummerSlam, as much fun as I have at TakeOver, because they're all happening 3 separate nights, I will not be sitting here in a week or so, or a week or so after the show, saying, well, Destiny just beat the fuck out of WWE, didn't they? Or, TakeOver beat the fuck out of Icons, or Icons beat the fuck out of SummerSlam. I'm going to say, at the end of these 5 days, because I'm going to see Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, the NXT taping, etc., I just saw 7 wrestling shows over the course of 5 days. How fucking awesome is that, and how cool of a time is it to be a wrestling fan? The only salty people would do that, and only salty people did what happened last weekend. I'm putting the message out there. I'm putting the good vibe out there. Most people are looking forward to this particular weekend for SummerSlam and TakeOver. 2 shows, 1 weekend. It's a great package. For myself, there's an extra because, you know, local stuff is local, and it's all going to be really, really good. So can we just sit back for a second, watch what you want to watch, ignore what you want to ignore. I watched Evolve and Fight for the Fallen. I watched Evolve the next day. Like I say, got to see Shotzi Blackheart faceplant 4 chairs. It was great. Can we just say how great is it that there's so much going on that I had to save some of it to the next day and not be dicks? I don't know. That's a really weird way for me to end off this video, but this is SummerSlam weekend so far. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.